Welcome to the Probably Bad Podcast, a podcast which is definitely... I'm Pencil.
I'm Paper. Today's Probably Bad RPG idea is corporate branded RPGs.
Specifically, Feast of Legends, the official Wendy's RPG surprisingly detailed campaign book.
Yeah, the book is as long as a D&D player's handbook.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil things in case for some reason you want to play the official Wendy's campaign, but it is a full-on campaign. It's got 4 adventures and plans for following on afterwards, and
yeah, there's a developed world, a bestiary, so many classes.
With names.
I do want to mention the classes.
Baked potato.
I do want to mention the classes because the main sort of conflict in the Wendy's RPG is the battle against frozen beef.
There is
there are many enemies.
Bears no resemblance to any existing corporate mascot.
And yeah, all sorts of definitely not we hate McDonald's type characters. But at the same time, one of the classes you can join is the Order of Frosty, and while I'm not expecting a huge amount of consistency in a Wendy's branded RPG, that's still a lot.
Yeah, all freezing things are bad because you don't want frozen burgers, and
because
then
freezing for freshness is a myth.
I feel it's relevant that I've never been to a Wendy's. I'm British and we don't have them over here. I don't know if I'm missing some deep cultural thing.
I know that they do have a whole thing about how their meat is never frozen.
I saw that on the Retweet Tower. The Retweet Tower is also a thing in the setting. It is described as incomprehensibly large.
Because Wendy's is, as the first page of this damn book says, the clapback queen.
That's the official title of Wendy from Wendy's in the setting. She's the clapback queen of, I think it's Fresh Beef Donia or something like that. But yeah, the Retreat Tower, which is incomprehensibly enormous as it specifies in the rulebook.
Which is so easy to say, is what's great about that. It's
nope, sorry.
If you're in a rush, it's really easy to say Fresh Beef Donia.
My mistake is actually Fresh Tovia, which is less silly but slightly harder to say. So
Fresh Tovia.
Fresh Tovia.
Other highlights from the book include they're not called critical fails. It's called a big oops.
It might be the biggest oops, which is another direct quote from the book.
Which also calls itself super dope. I don't understand who wrote this or who the audience is. But it's definitely a bad RPG idea.
In what I'm pretty sure might actually be a direct, probably bad RPG idea that we've done before. So, you get buffs if you eat Wendy's food during the game, which, makes some sense for a corporate RPG. You suffer penalties if you eat any non-Wendy's food on the day of the game. You suffer a -2 penalty. For context, the highest bonus you can get in the game is +5. So it's a very significant penalty if you so much as it explicitly says if you eat crisps or snacks during the game and they're not official Wendy's products. You get them.
Yeah, one really good part is what food, either Wendy's food or non-Wendy's food you have. There's categories, and with what food you have determines which stats you get a buff or debuff on. I believe if you eat crisps, you become less graceful.
Yeah. If you eat tacos, you become less magical. If you eat fried chicken, you become less defensive. If you eat gas station food, you become less intelligent. If you eat from Subways, you become weaker. and if you eat pizza, you become less charming. And because they're weirdly insistent on the frozen burger thing, if you eat from a frozen burger joint, which I assume is McDonald's or Burger King, you suffer +1 ice damage every time you're attacked. It's weirdly detailed for just eat at Wendy's.
The question is, do you get a double debuff for gas station tacos?
I don't know if it's like cumulative, so like every time you eat a crisp, you have another -2 penalty.
I mean, I think that would be excessive even for this super dope game. But if gas station tacos covers 2 categories...
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's not even, like... I mean, like, there are questions like that. It's not even, like, a particularly well-implemented rule. It's just...
Yeah, the rules as written raise a lot of questions that they then don't answer.
Most notably, you can't die. If your hit points drop to 0, you're just immobilized until you can eat Wendy's.
That's until you eat Wendy's in real life. I kind of want to play this game as someone who lives in a country without Wendy's, as a sort of challenge mode. No buffs, no resurrection.
Constant debuffs every time you eat.
Presumably just ending up with the entire party catatonic on the floor.
Natural 20 is called because you have eaten Wendy's and are full of energy, presumably.
Of course.
I just love all of this. Yeah, there is the order of the baked potato, the order of the chicken nuggets, and they're just the worst names for anything I've ever heard.
I maintain the order of the Frosty is the worst option.
Yeah.
Purely because the bad guys are ice-themed. There's the Ice Jester, who is definitely not Ronald McDonald.
There is also the creepy king in the paper crown, which, to be fair, does sum him up pretty well, but also...
It's an accurate description.
There's full-on, like, maps and, for everything.
The worst part is, the illustrations are quite good.
Yeah, like, the illustrations look like something from, like, a legitimate, sword and sorcery fantasy setting. But
like, honestly, whatever poor starving artist had to draw these pictures, I salute you, because you worked with what you were given and you made something beautiful.
Like, the actual, like, Ice Jester is, like, if you look at his image, he's, like, a legitimately quite intimidating looking villain until you realise he's literally just a parody of McDonald's freezing their burgers.
We will include a link to this game, because it is free, in the show notes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is, like... I don't know how you'd implement this idea. I guess just play it and order Wendy.
I do want to use this as an opportunity to talk about the weirdest video game I've ever played, though.
Okay.
Which was another official game by a fast food brand. I Love You, Colonel Sanders, the dating sim.
Oh, yeah, I've got that. I've not mustered up the courage to play it yet because I am a coward.
I know it's technically outside of our remit, but I just wanted to remind people that it exists.
I think what we need is a crossover. Like Colonel Sanders goes adventuring in the Wendy's fantasy setting and tries to find love.
And he ends up, as must happen in these sorts of games, seducing the Ice Jester.
So there we go. That's how you implement it. You play an
food fanfic.
You play an incredibly thirsty Colonel Sanders exploring the Wendy's dimension in order to fuck Ronald McDonald.
Well, if he's thirsty, he can just order a Frosty.
I assume a Frosty's like. I assume it's like a cold drink or an ice cream.
I think it's like a milkshake. I'm
Okay.
only aware of it through memes.
But yes, I think we've sort of roasted the Wendy's Feast of Legends game enough. We should possibly move on to questions.
You say that, but I feel like there are some companies where implementing them in an RPG could be genuinely interesting. Like, have you considered Jeff Bezos as a BBEG?
I mean, I think like he's basically like the real world's big bad evil guy is the issue. Like we're all in an RPG where the main villain is Jeff Bezos.
That is true, but doesn't that just make you more want to play some sort of paladin of light taking him down?
There's definitely something there in like a Shadowrun where just the companies are just Amazon, Disney, and what have you. Like instead of any advanced sci-fi future ones, it's just you need to take down Amazon.
A zombie game, but instead of actual zombies, it's the bloated corpses of franchises that keep being revived for no good reason.
I think like the good RPG idea we've come up with here is like overthrow the bourgeoisie and implement communism.
I think the RPG idea we've come up with is heavy-handed satire.
Yeah.
Which is just approximately 50% of RPGs.
Like, I think it's like not really satire at this point, it's just insulting Jeff Bezos, which is like, you know, an admirable goal.
That's just a probably good life idea.
Yeah. So, probably good RPG idea, overthrow Jeff Bezos and redistribute his money. I think that's what we were trying to reach in this episode.
I think so. Shall we go for a question?
Right, question.
So this one is anonymous. Comes to us through Tumblr. You can send us questions through probablybadrpgideas.tumblr.com. I've never DM'd and I've been asked to run a campaign for kids at my church. Do you have any ideas for a story? So my immediate thought was, there's a version of vampire lore in which Judas was the first vampire, just as punishment for, you know, being Judas. And I feel like, while it might be obvious as the first thing to go for, I feel like it's the way to get the church to approve of a very vampire-heavy game.
So firstly, I like the implication he's not punished for betraying Jesus, he's punished for being Judas. Just unrelated to any of the action.
I mean, I think there is one gospel in which he literally just explodes.
Which will, like, you know, kids will find that cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happens when you kill him.
So for your first RPG for children at church, do is track down Judas and make him explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel I would have liked that.
Thing is, there are so many quite interesting antagonists in the Bible. Like, even if you don't go for Judas, because, you know, it's not, I don't think it's canon in any particular version of Christianity that he is the first vampire. It's just a thing.
It's a direct quote from the Bible.
There are, like, literal evil wizards. Like, there's this guy, Simon Magus, his whole thing is, I am an evil wizard, everyone does as I say. Which is just a classic D&D villain. Pencil, can you think of any biblical villains you'd like to fight?
I think, like, probably fighting King Herod would be a bit on the nose if you're dealing with just, like, children, unless you make...
It's so festive.
Yeah, unless, like, you make it, like, all of the children he kills are, like, annoying in ways that the children you're playing with are specifically.
Like a Willy Wonka type scenario.
Yeah, like, if you have King Herod, but instead of any particular antagonism towards Jesus, he's just, like, doing a Willy Wonka style castle.
Whoever survives the tour of my kingdom shall inherit it.
Yeah. And you can use that to deliver good life lessons to the children. Like, stop annoying me, or King Harold again.
I kind of love this.
Full disclaimer, I don't know a huge amount about the Bible.
You stole holy water, you lose!
You could have, like, I don't know if, like, he has any Oompa Loompa equivalents. I sort of assume he doesn't in the Bible.
He's probably got some sort of generic underling.
Yeah, but they can go around and, like, sing songs whenever anything bad happens.
If you really want to impress your priest or pastor or whatever your version of church person is, sing the songs in Aramaic.
The idea of, like, recording full, like, 1st century Aramaic songs entirely for your Willy Wonka King Harold game. But yes, I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. Right, our second question, which is from Melanie Melody. Okay, I'm DMing a pirate campaign, which is super cool, by the way. I'd have a toxic player at my table. She's rude, she complains every time anyone does anything, and tries to do my job as DM. I tried talking to her, but she just ignored me and kept doing the same shit as before. I'm seriously thinking about taking her out of the campaign. We're in a small number of players, and taking her out will reduce us to 3 players. What should I do?
Keelhauler.
Yeah, like, I've been in games with players who have tried to take over. I was in a game with someone who would deliberately build his characters to be better than the other characters at the things they specifically tried to do. So, like, try to be better at fighting than the fighter and so forth. Yeah, it's better to have a campaign with players than a campaign with more players but one of that.
Yeah, like, I've been in campaigns with literally 2 players and a DM, and that is preferable to being in a campaign where you can't have a good time.
Yeah. Like, if you've talked to her and she's not listened, then yeah, you should probably kick her out.
If she's that desperate to be the protagonist, she can go and play a video game. There's plenty of them.
Yes. Actual legitimate RPG advice. Yeah, there's definitely, if you do want to go for the more passive-aggressive route, which, full disclaimer, you shouldn't. You should always talk about things out of game if you have a problem with your players or GM. But
this is probably bad RPG ideas.
But yes, so just have her be turned into a baby magically. All her stats are 1, and she can, like, cry, and that is the extent of her character.
Or, as I said, keelhaul her.
Yeah. Like, I feel like
either the character or the player, whichever's easiest, really.
Or, like, both involuntary laughing.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, one thing I did see sort of in a similar, like, with pirate ships or areas like that, like, they tend to, like, not respond well to people. Like, basically, I'm going to try and restart this particular point. Basically, if the character is trying to take over the campaign and take over the mission, that is essentially a mutiny, and you can have the NPCs react immediately, which probably would be keelhauling or something like that.
It would, yeah.
So basically,
historically,
keelhaul her.
Our advice is keelhaul.
I think our advice so far is beat up Jeff Bezos and keelhaul players, and rewrite the Bible to be Willy Wonka.
We are excellent at this. So we do have one more question, which is a little bit less RPG based, but I quite like that someone wanted to know. How did you meet? Was it through campaigning, or... And then it's ellipsis?
Like, we thought about it, and I don't think we quite remembered.
I know it involved the Douglas Adams Society, but honestly, I just remember at some point I became friends with Pencil. I don't know when that happened. We just weren't friends, and then we were.
Like, at any point, any of you might wake up and you'll be friends with me. Like, it just happened.
They are just a cryptid.
But yeah, like, the first social interaction I remember with Paper is the time that they said, I don't know if I'm up to peeping or not, so I'll compromise and talk to you, which has stuck in my mind as one of the strangest comments someone said to me. But
I feel like I probably meant it as I'm going to talk to an individual rather than join in a group.
Possibly.
But I can't prove this.
Like, it worked out. We are friends now, so yeah.
I mean, we were housemates for a year.
Yeah. So yes, to answer your question, one day you will just wake up and you'll be friends with me. And no one knows how it happens.
You just have this aura. This attracts nerds.
If you roll a natural 20, you end up becoming friends with me. But yes, we went to university, ended up friends, and then continued being friends. It's not the exciting story, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
Next time we'll exaggerate it so that we fought demons together.
Well, we were playing this game called Feast of Legends.
And it was just so amazing that we're like, we can never, like, not talk to each other after this. They still love the clapback queen.
I know, it's just...
It is.
It's so inappropriate.
It's 100% the name, like, a 40-something, like, person would give themselves while trying to talk to teenagers.
I mean, it probably is the name that a millennial gave themselves while running the Wendy's corporate Twitter.
But yeah,
although, you know, let's be fair, this probably wasn't run by the same person as the Twitter. This was probably constructed by a load of men in their 50s and 60s, sat in a room for 2 hours, probably on a Friday. It's like, oh, that'll do.
But yeah, I can't tell whether I recommend this or not. I think it's like the room of tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, like, I want to play it, but I also like Piranaconda. So I don't think I'm the best judge.
I think that's everything we have to talk about.
I think so.
Extra? Exit. Yeah. You want to do it again?
Yeah, so that's everything that we've got for today. I want to thank my spouse Nick Blake for doing editing and making music and things. If you want to support the show, you can head to ko-fi.com/probablybadrpgideas. You can donate in increments of £3 to help us with hosting costs or just life. Life is expensive. It's pay to win. Life is the worst RPG.
This is why we need to take down Jeff Bezos.
Exactly. If you have a question for us, you can send it to probablybadrpgideas.tumblr.com. And remember to have a probably bad day.